All right, what's up, college football fans, quarterback fans? Welcome to another QB Spotlight video. In this video, we're talking about LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels, talking about his matchup against Arkansas this upcoming weekend, and what are some keys for him to, one, have some success, and two, avoid the upset from happening, right? So what can he do for LSU's offense? Then we're going to talk about Arkansas's defense as well and give a little preview on what you can potentially expect from them. But if this is your first time tuning into the QB Spotlight channel, one, thank you to QB Spotlight is just a big quarterback hub. We talk all things quarterbacks, really focus on the college quarterback position with these game previews, these game recaps that we have, and we have several live shows throughout the week where we talk about the broader quarterback scene of things in college football. So if that kind of interests you at all, please consider subscribing and go ahead and like this video as well. So with that said, Jayden Daniels, keys to success, keys to avoiding the upset, keys to keeping LSU's offense on track like it was against Mississippi State. I want to go over those, but I also want to talk about Arkansas's defense. Arkansas, like LSU, coming off a game against a Power 5 opponent, right, where LSU beat Mississippi State and Arkansas, their first Power 5 opponent, losing to BYU. But Arkansas's defense actually played pretty well against BYU. And before BYU, they played a FCS in Western Carolina and Kent State, kind of a lower tier FBS. So I really just want to go off the BYU game as opposed to those other two games. I think this gave us more idea of what Arkansas's defense looks like, right? So Arkansas's defense versus BYU actually played pretty good. They had them in position to succeed and win. They only gave up 270 yards of total offense. Passing yards was 167, or I think that's what Kedon Slovis had. They had a trick play that added like 30-something yards, but Kedon Slovis only threw for 167, and his yards per attempt were only 6.7. So there weren't a lot of big plays happening against against Arkansas's defense. There wasn't a huge vertical threat there besides that 130-something yard touchdown that they had. And Arkansas was also able to generate a ton of pressure against BYU. Had 3 sacks, but had 19 total pressures, meaning hurries, hits, and sacks all kind of included in one stat. So they did a good job getting after the quarterback, and I'm still trying to figure out how they gave up 38 points, right? Now, Arkansas had some costly turnovers that led to those points, but Arkansas's defense played pretty good. So I don't think you want to take that defense lightly. I think you need to understand that they're probably going to come in playing pretty tough. And if you're LSU, if you're Jayden Daniels, what can you do to avoid the upset? Well, I think, number one, you don't want to overlook Arkansas. You can't overlook Arkansas just because they lost to BYU and they haven't looked great, right? You can't overlook them, and you need to avoid a slow start. If you have a slow start like you did last year and you kind of keep them in the game, and they're able to stick around and stay around, then who knows what happens in the fourth quarter, right? So you got to find a way to avoid the slow start, don't let them hang around, and don't overlook them. The last 3 games between Arkansas and LSU have all been decided by 3 points. 13-10 last year. 2 years ago when Arkansas won, I think it was 16-13, and the year before that, I think it was 27-24 LSU. So these games, since Pittman's been there, have been close. So even though the spread's like 17 right now, depending on when you're watching this video, you can still, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer than that spread is saying, right? So with that said, let's talk Jayden Daniels. What are the keys to go up against this Arkansas defense that we probably still don't know a ton about, even though they look good against BYU? I think it's fair to say we don't know a ton about them yet. What are some keys? Well, just go ahead and repeat what you did against Mississippi State, right? When you were 30-34 for 300-something yards in the air and 4 total touchdowns, 60-something yards on the ground. Like, go ahead and repeat that, right? Like, but in all seriousness, repeat it. How do you go about repeating that? I think number one, you want to distribute the ball through the entire field. I think he did a really good job of doing that against Mississippi State. I think if you can do that against Arkansas, I think there's a few things, but I think it can potentially slow down the pressure, slow down the blitz. I don't think there's going to be as much pressure against LSU as there was for Arkansas against BYU, for the simple fact Daniels is such a superior athlete, and LSU is going to be game planning for that. But I think distributing the ball throughout the entire field. Against Mississippi State, Jayden Daniels had 160 yards outside the right numbers, had 50 yards outside the left numbers, and 120 yards between the numbers. So he used the whole field. So if you're Daniels, I think you repeat that. Use the whole field. Number two, maybe the most important part, is you find your matchups. You find the mismatches. I think LSU is going to have some mismatches, just like they did against Mississippi State. LSU's receivers are going to be one of the best receiving rooms in the nation. So you find your mismatches, you trust your guys to go win, and then you trust Daniels to give them the opportunity to go do that, whether it's throwing your guys open, whether it's your receivers getting open and Daniels throwing them to get the ball, you trust him to go do that, right? So you find your mismatches. Daniels was extremely accurate in every area of the field, or every level of the field against Mississippi State. He was 4-4 on balls 20 yards or more downfield. I think he was, 7 of 8 between 10 and 19 yards, and 18 of 20 between throws 0 and 10 yards, right? So every level, deep, intermediate, and short, he was extremely accurate on. So what that tells me was he took what the defense gave him. So that's my third point. My third point. Take what the defense gives you. If it's a deep throw, take that deep throw. If it's an intermediate throw, take that intermediate throw. If it's a short throw, take that short throw. Let the defense dictate what you want, right? So far, distribute the ball all over the field. Force the defense to defend the whole field. Number 2, find your matchups, trust your matchups, give them a shot. Number 3, accurate throws, right? Of course, but that leads to taking what the defense gives you, usually leads to accurate throws. And the last one, and we'll wait to see this because Daniels didn't get a ton of pressure against Mississippi State. I think only 4 of his attempts came with pressure actually in his face. Not, I'm not talking about a sack or scrambling or anything. Just whenever he was throwing the ball. But the last key is I don't know if Arkansas is going to do this, but repeat what you did against the blitz. Against Mississippi State, Daniels was 14 of 16, a $149 and a tutty. Just because the guy's blitz doesn't mean they're going to get to him, right? So if you can have success against the blitz, if Arkansas tries to blitz you, you can repeat that success. I think you're in a really good position to avoid any slow start, avoid any upset. All the blitz does, if you don't get to the quarterback, it's just one less defender you have to throw against or read. So if you're blitzing one of your backers, now there's more space to throw to. You're taught in college, high school, anyway, you're taught is wherever the blitzer is coming from, a lot of times that's where you want to go with the ball, just because there's green space there, right? So again, keys for Daniels, keys to avoid the upset, keys to avoid a slow start. Yeah, I can just say repeat against Mississippi State, right? We talked about how he was able to do that, right? The keys are distribute the ball all over the field, attack vertically, but also attack short, intermediate. Allow the defense to dictate where you want to go with the ball, right? Take what the defense gives you, find your matchups, and then do exactly what you did against the blitz against Mississippi State, and just continue that, right? So again, just keys for Jayden Daniels to have success and to avoid any upset against Arkansas. I think it's going to be closer than people think, but Arkansas's offense does have to improve on things. But again, this is just the quarterback perspective of things. We put out an Arkansas breakdown of what KJ needs to do against LSU's defense, but this is the quarterback perspective. So there's a ton of different keys, like the run game, offensive line in more detail, defense, whatever you want to talk about. There's a lot more keys than just these 3 or 4 keys we talked about Daniels. So if you have any more keys you want to touch on that, let us know in the comments below. If you have any more keys on Daniels, let us know that in the comments below. And if you've watched these videos before, we usually have game film that we try to break down to get our point across, but YouTube says it's tougher to do that now. We only have the broadcast footage as of now, so it's just not great quality. So hopefully we got our point across without diving in and breaking down film. We apologize if we did not. But if you like this video, like this type of content, 1, comment, let us know your thoughts below, and 2, like, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really does help us out. And follow us along. We'll see you next time. Peace.